All right, let's talk about the LSU Tigers here for a little bit. Look, LSU has been one of these programs that's kind of been lurking under the radar this offseason. There's obviously been a lot of news in the SEC. Of course, the great Nick Saban is retiring. DeBoer from Washington is taking over the reins in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, some shakeups. Oklahoma, University of Texas are joining the SEC. A lot of moving and shaking going along in that conference. But one thing that's been really kind of like, again, sliding under the radar is how smart and effective LSU's recruiting strategy has been. They're doing a phenomenal job, and they're starting to build those building blocks that'll move this team not in the top 15, not in the top 10, but into national title contention. Let's get into a report highlighting one of those examples, and then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is from SI.com. Brian Kelly and the LSU football staff are dominating the recruiting trail in the 2025 cycle with this program showing no signs of slowing down. It started with the number one wide receiver in the cycle, DeCorian Moore, revealing his pledge to the Tigers in August and has quickly blossomed into a program-changing class. Since Moore's pledge, LSU has received commitments from Harlem Berry, the number one running back, Bryce Underwood, the number one quarterback, and a myriad of other blue chippers. Now it's become a race to lock down the state of Louisiana on the trail, with the Bayou Bengals already receiving pledges. Here's the most important part from 6 of the top 10 prospects. One of the dirty, rotten secrets of the Alabama dynasty that they were under Nick Saban, and everyone talked about Saban as a recruiter, and he's one of the great recruiters of all time. But it wasn't just what he did in the state of Alabama. He did a phenomenal job in the state of Louisiana. And as you LSU fans, you guys have to understand that had to be so infuriating, especially those years where it felt like LSU was this close to being better than Alabama, but Alabama just had a skosh more talent, and that prevented the Tigers from overcoming the tide. We're seeing that tide, no pun intended, starting to turn right now. We're seeing under Coach Kelly, the LSU Tigers dominating Louisiana like no program has the way it's been the past couple of years, except for Alabama. It's almost like LSU finally is reclaiming its state as it probably always should have. And that makes the Tigers a serious threat to, again, not just be a top 15 program, but to be a dominating force to potentially compete for national titles. Louisiana is one of those under the radar recruiting states. It's sort of like Georgia. Everyone wants to talk about Texas, California, and Florida, and rightly so. But Louisiana has a lot of elite level talent, and we're talking like 4 or 5 star NFL kind of talent in that state. And unfortunately, LSU has lost a lot of it over the past 10, 15 years or so. We're seeing that script flip. And I think that's why the LSU Tigers, again, not just in the short term, but in the long term as well, are building a formidable force in the SEC. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this direction of this LSU Tigers program. But first, LSU fans, in the comment section below, we're talking a little bit about long term here, but let's kind of narrow the focus to the 2024 recruiting class. Give us, in the comment section below, your favorite recruit that LSU was able to secure a signing from. Give us your favorite recruit who you think will be a big time LSU Tiger. Put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what do you think about this news and just everything going on with this LSU program right now?
Yeah, Nick. First of all, it's absurd. 6 of the top 10 players in the state, seven,
Ridiculous.
seven guys out of Louisiana already. They really capitalize. A lot of teams capitalize on taking transfer portal guys away from Alabama. A lot of teams capitalize on trying to get coaches from Alabama. LSU did the only thing that is going to last forever, and that is trying to get back and dominate their home state. Transfer portal guys, few seasons, they're gone. Coach, probably not going to be coaching at your school forever or move on to greener pastures eventually. Being able to take back over your state and have absolute domination over that recruiting, that'll last forever if you keep it up. So I think LSU really made the smartest move out of all the teams trying to take away from Alabama's demise as far as Nick Saban leaving and the tide turning for the Crimson Tide. But LSU really has done a phenomenal job in general recruiting for the 2025 class. They're number 2 overall ranked class in 2025 so far, only behind number 1 ranked Notre Dame. But LSU, 3 5 stars. The level of talent they have is insane. Notre Dame, 0 5 stars. So LSU's caliber of talent in this 2025 class is insane. But let's go ahead. We've been talking about them. Let's not leave them out of it. Alabama in this 2025 class, 29th. So I'm feeling pretty good about LSU's chances so far. They've been dominating the state, which is insane. They've been getting a lot of high level talent out of state as well, which I think is very impressive. I believe one of their 5 stars is from Texas. So getting one of the best players in the state of Texas as well is very impressive. I just think Coach Kelly and his job really capitalizing, going hard on the recruiting for the future of this team. He set this team up for some long-term success, and I'm really excited about what he's done so far.
And I think you hit on a few things there, Miles, that I really want to drill down into. Look, Alabama may slip slightly in the recruiting rankings, but they're doing a heck of a job in the transfer portal, right? They're still Alabama, for God's sakes. Notre Dame looks to have a really strong 2025 class. Texas and Georgia are always recruiting really well. So it's not like everyone else is falling apart and LSU is just kind of lucking and stumbling into more recruiting success. This is a deliberate plan. This is why you brought in Coach Kelly from Notre Dame to win the state of Louisiana and then expand when appropriate into other states to bring in, I like the word you mentioned, Miles, high caliber talent. LSU has had the pieces in the past, but they haven't had the high caliber talent everywhere except for maybe that Joe Burrow run, Jamar Chase, Jefferson, that incredibly stacked team that just was probably the most dominant team in college football history. With the exception of that season and that little mini era right there, LSU has been lacking elite level talent across the entire football field. We're starting to see that shift with Coach Kelly's recruiting. And like you brought up, Miles, once it shifts in your direction, that momentum is there to stay for a long time. It started again, if you look at the Alabama dynasty in like 2008, 2009. Saban won the state of Alabama, started doing really well in Louisiana. And once that ball started rolling, he maintained that for 15 years. LSU still has a way to go to compete to what Alabama was doing in the recruiting game, but Coach Kelly is on the right track. And if he maintains this, he could rival Alabama's success, especially in this new SEC.